Page 71, the can-can. On page 70, they're introducing you to the G major scale and the key of G major. Finally, we're getting into key signatures. I've been waiting for this. All this time throughout this book, we've been in the key of C major. Didn't know that because I didn't say it, they didn't introduce you to key signatures yet. But C major, all the white keys. C major has no sharps or flats in the key signature, and I'll get to that in a minute. But you're using all white keys. If there's any black keys involved, they're accidentals. They're sharps or flats that have been added in. Well, now we get to G major. G major has one sharp in the key signature. The key signature is the groups of sharps or flats that are at the beginning of the staff that identify the key, whatever the key is. It's the signature for the key. It's like the time signature tells you about the counting and all that junk. It's the signature for the time. Well, we need a signature for a key too, don't you know? So you see here in the treble clef line that sharp sign, because it has one sharp, is on the top line. And if a note were on that top line, it would be an F. So what this is telling you is that all Fs are automatically F sharps. So they're not going to put the sharps in the lines anymore for this. It's at the beginning, and you just have to remember that all the Fs are F sharps. That's a trick. For the bass clef, it is on the next to the top line, and that's where an F would be. Now this is all Fs. Doesn't matter where they are in the written music. It's all Fs. They just give you one in the signature. It's all you need. Just the Fs are sharp. That's it. So just remember, G major has one sharp. It's an F sharp. Now they give you the scale, and they talk about their tetrachords. You can read about tetrachords. I'm not interested. I have negative memories about tetrachords, but you can do that if you want. But the scale is important. So at this point, I would encourage you to go to my G major scale video and learn it one octave up and down. I cover the fingerings like they've got it here. I cover the fingering and the technique and the accent. Do it the way I do it in the video, if you would please, because it prepares you for more difficult stuff later on. It's like a C major scale, except whenever you get to the F, you're going to play F sharp instead. So it's all the white keys except for the F. It's another way of looking at these key signatures or these scales. I could say G major, okay, I'm going to do all the white keys, G to G, just like I did for C, except now I have to add the sharps. And this has one sharp, and it's an F sharp, so it's here. So this is the G major key. Not saying anything about what it sounds like, it's just the G major key. That's another way of doing it. And then they have other blurbs about teaching it, but I would still prefer you use the G major scale video that I put out on that. I like that much better. That's the method I used in college, and it's the one that helped me the most. Now as far as can-can goes, so now one of the things we have to look at when we're looking at a new piece of music is the key signature. We've got to add another piece to that, and it's all at the beginning of the staffs. So we're looking at the clef signs, treble and bass, because they're not always going to be treble and bass. Look at them, make sure they're okay. They're okay. You're looking at the time signature, 4/4 time. Now we look at the key signature. It's got one sharp. Now you can't really tell for sure. If it's one sharp, it's automatically G major. That's not true. So you just look and it's got one sharp. Just know it's got one sharp. For the time being, it's going to be G major because that's all they've taught you so far. And so we got all that. Now we see both hands are playing and they're going all over the place, and it looks like the right hand gets the melody most of the time, all the time. Yeah, we'll get there. Left hand has the broken chords, and yes, these are broken chords because in the first measure, if I take all those notes at one time, it's the G chord or the one chord in the key of G. Happens to be a 5 chord in the key of C, but it's a 1 chord in the key of G. Stick around, because a C chord is a 4 chord in the key of G. Isn't this fun? Did you catch all that? we'll go over it more and more slowly in the future. I'm just kind of having fun here. So it's a broken chord. Remember, a broken chord is anything that's not a block chord. And I'm not playing all of these at the same time. It's here. So these are broken chords. The natural accents. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That's what we want. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And feel these. Don't make it happen. Just. You should do this in all the pieces. I don't talk about it all the time because I forget. But that's it. That's the left hand pretty much. You just got the primary chords. The G chord. The 4 chord is not used. That's a C chord in the key of G. That's not in this piece. It's just the 1 chord and the 5/7 chord, or D7 chord. If you look at the second measure, it's broken. If you look at the last line, the last 2 measures, you get the chords as block. And that's all the left hand's got, pretty much, I think. So the right hand gets the melody, and the right hand looks like it's moving around a bit. Because you're starting in this position for at the beginning. But then in the last measure, the first line, they want a 4th finger on the first note. Well, you've been playing it with fifths, so you simply come up, move up. You'll have to look at first for this, but you want to develop the feel enough so you can be able to go up or down 1 key without looking eventually. So you're here to here, and then in the second line, you're playing the A with the thumb in the first measure. In the second measure, they want 2nd finger on it, so you're going back down where you were. Then in the 3rd measure, you got the octave, go all the way up. Now we got a G major scale going down. If you know the G major scale, this is easy. And you'll learn to recognize them in music when you see this kind of thing. Oh, that's just a G major scale. I'll just play that. It makes reading music a lot easier when you can recognize the patterns and so forth. So now we're just going to do a G major scale. You've been learning it, I hope. Just follow the fingering, because that's the fingering for the G major scale. That takes you back down where you were. So the 3rd line is like the first line. You got the first line, you've automatically got the 3rd line. Isn't that nice? Then the last line starts out like the 2nd. And only now it's, instead of a scale, we're staying here. Like so, and that's the right hand. So you just work this out really, really slowly, right hand by itself, and make sure you've got all these movements like you're supposed to have. Like, you know. And then you can go put the hands together and see if you can get that to work. Real slow. Just how slow you go is a personal thing. And you work it out so you can get the hands together, because after you get it, then you can start speeding it up a little bit. Now, dynamics, another thing you got to look at. It starts out loud. That's the melody. Keep the left hand under it. The left hand is just supporting, so the left hand needs to stay soft through. Then you get to the 2nd line, 3rd measure. Immediately you're going from loud to soft. Can you go? Can you do that real quick, real abrupt? Because you got a crescendo back down. As you go down the scale, you're going to get louder. You have to plan it. So I'm going to be soft, medium loud, loud. Don't get loud until the 3rd line. Don't get loud too soon. There, you're going to there. You make it flow. So that's a trick. And then it's loud for the rest of it. And that's the dynamic. It's kind of cool. That says brightly for a tempo. It's not a tempo, it's a mood. It's a fairly fast piece. You can find recordings of this. Don't play it faster than you can control. You have a speed limit. Everybody's got a speed limit. And as you play more and you get better and better, your speed limit will increase. But don't go beyond it if there's anybody listening to you. Now, if you're by yourself and you're just fiddling around, I do this, used to do it a lot. I just play whatever, and I didn't care what it sounded like because I liked the physical act of playing the piano. It was fun. But if there's somebody listening, please don't do that. Play is, at least have a little consideration for their ears. So on Brightly, it's a personal thing. What's Brightly to you? How fast do you think it should go? Or how fast are you able to take it accurately? And it's a fun piece. It's a dance. So think dancing, happy, fun, drinking song. I don't know. It's just, it's a cool piece. Let's go over it slowly together to check the notes and the rhythms and all that. I'm not going to do the dynamics or any of that. I'm just going to play the notes and the rhythms so we can check those, and then you can do all that other stuff on your own. So I'll give us 4 counts since it's in 4/4 time. You're starting out in G position in both hands. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest, rest. As I said before, you can find plenty of recordings of this. It's a fun piece to play, but it would go something like this.